XRP ETF approval odds soar, but experts warn that demand is severely underestimated. Really, guys? First of all, I do believe that we're going to have Solana ETF, XRP ETF, any crypto ETF that you can think of, they're going to have it. But to think that there's this much demand for an ETF for XRP that does absolutely nothing, right? Ripple does not use XRP. Ripple sells XRP. This user, CryptoJack, said, just sold the rest of my Bitcoin for XRP. Thanks for the profits. Bitcoin time is over. It's time for XRP to take over. Guys, how can XRP take over when they're selling, that Ripple is selling billions? They have billions to sell. And so if these ETFs get approved, guess who they're going to be buying the XRP from? Not from you, from Ripple. And people are getting the price action really twisted because the price of XRP has only, it's really not gone up that much, right? In this cycle. I mean, we went from 50 cents to where we are now, $3, right? That's a 6x. That's good. That's in line with Bitcoin's price movement because Bitcoin went from about 15,500 to 125,000. So between 5 and 8x. Same thing with XRP. But I remind you, in the last cycle, XRP did not have any price performance basically at all because of the lawsuit with the SEC. And so this, I think, was just a catch up from the last cycle, right? Once the SEC lawsuit was kind of behind us, boom, the price went up and recovered to where it should be. So we really, if you take into last cycle where the price should have moved compared to other cryptos in the last cycle, yeah, XRP really hasn't performed at all this cycle, at all. And so the XRP army are not, they don't seem to understand this. Not only that, they don't seem to understand where the XRP is coming from that's being dumped onto the market. Anyway, one guy who's a president of a wealth management company and co-founder of the ETF Institute, Nate Garachi, he took to social media X to suggest that approval odds may be even higher than market projections. He offered a more assertive stance that one implied by Polymarket's numbers at the close. He said, personally, I think the XRP ETF is close to 100%. People are severely underestimating investor demand for XRP and Solana ETFs, just like they did with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Well, Bitcoin they did, but I remind you, Ethereum ETFs seriously underperform Bitcoin ETFs from inflows perspective, and it has continued to underperform Bitcoin's inflows. Now, more recently, we've seen a lot more inflows, but when Ethereum ETFs first launched, it was very minimal interest, very, very minimal. And so, again, if Ripple is selling and Wall Street is buying, this is exactly what this user, Rajat, said. They want you to buy XRP while they sell it. And guys, it's not just us saying this. Like, even Brad Garlinghouse back in 2020 said Ripple would not be profitable without selling XRP. That was in 2020. And they haven't stopped selling since. They haven't stopped selling. Even according to a Masari State of the XRP Ledger report that came out just a few weeks ago at the end of August 2025, you can see right here, they talk about the escrows. And, okay, you can see right here. It says, on the XRP ledger, transaction fees are systematically burned, applying deflationary pressure to the total supply of 100 billion XRP. You guys know, coin burning is positive if you are a holder of the coin because it reduces the supply, and if the market cap stays the same, the price goes higher, right? So XRP ledger has a burn mechanism. Since the XRP ledger's inception, about 14 million XRP has been burned. This low burn rate is due relatively to low transaction fees on the network. Again, Ripple net is different than XRP. And XRP has these very low fees. So how is Ripple going to even make any money running the network if they're forcing the usage of XRP, which they're not? They can't. Counteracting the burn rate, 1 billion XRP is released from escrow to Ripple per month. per month. Any XRP not spent by Ripple in that month is put into new escrow contracts to continue the escrow. This system will continue until the remaining 36.6 billion XRP become liquid. So this was posted just a few weeks ago. And if you go to the XRP ledger, right now it's 35.3 billion. So they've already sold, since this report was released, basically 1.3 billion coins. 1.3 billion coins times the price of XRP of $3 billion. Guys, do the math. 1.3 billion. It's $3.9 billion. That's what Ripple is extracting from the network since that report was written, and when we're watching how much coin are still escrowed on the network. How is that bullish? I don't get it. So this idea that like there's so much demand for XRP, guys, you could just go buy XRP right now. Why would you wait for an ETF? So I actually think that the ETF thing is very bearish. I think it's very, very bearish, and I think that that's going to it's going to only accelerate the downtrend in the market, because retail, aka y'all, not people on my channel, because you guys are way ahead, but you guys get it. Most people in crypto, they're not going to realize. They're going to say, oh my God, this is so bullish. I'm going to buy XRP today. I'm going to buy. Boom. Ripple's selling it all to you. So the price just goes down. And they don't care because they're playing a much longer game. They're not playing a trade. Okay, these companies, these ETF providers, etc. These are long-term plays.